Happy Friday and happy free agency. I'm Jake Brown, and you're watching Mets Daily. Hit that subscribe button below and smash that thumbs up below. Comment below. We'll get to your comments later in the show. Free agency is officially underway. Murakami has been posted. He will begin his search for a new major league team coming from Japan tomorrow as that 45-day window will open. We'll see if the Mets are interested. We'll talk about him probably sometime next week. I don't think the Mets should go for him. I think too many strikeouts on fastballs over 93 miles an hour. He strikes out a lot, so not a lot of interest in him. But we'll get more into Murakami down the road. We have breaking news from yesterday is that the Mets have hired their third base coach. They go with Tim Leiper. Now, this is a staff that has been younger with their hiring. You know, Correa, with Snicker, with Albert, sub-40-year-old guys. Leiper, 59 years old. He's had 3 decades in baseball, a lot of minor league managing experience, but the last 2 years he worked with the San Diego Padres. He was their third base coach as well as the team's infield instructor. Listen, I have no issue with this hire. I don't think this is a hire where you have much reaction. I think it's fine. I don't know if he's raved about. I like that he has multiple decades of experience with multiple organizations. He began his professional coaching career in the Mets organization in 1996. So he comes back home from where it all began. So that's always a fun story. So I like the hire. You know, the Padres were a pretty good team the last couple of years. So I don't think you could really be against this hire. I'm not like jumping for joy over the hire, but when you have a lot of young coaches, at some point you need one veteran mixed in there. And they replace an older Mike Sarbaugh with an older Tim Leiper. So no issue with this hire. Mets have their third base coach. Now they still have to get their first base coach to replace Antoine Richardson. They have to finalize pitching coach. We said who in Willard. It might be Willard, but it's not finalized. The Mets have not announced that. So we need an official pitching coach and a first base coach, and that pretty much wraps up the coaching staff. So they're almost there. I would assume at the latest by next week we hear who the first base coach is. A couple of moves on Thursday. One of them a little bit more shockwaves than the other. First off, we'll start with the one who was here last year, Jose Castillo. You know, Jose Castillo was great for the Mets. You know, he came to the Mets. He had an 11 ERA with the Diamondbacks. The Mets picked him up off the scrap heap, and he was great. You know, in 15 and a third innings with the Mets, he only gave up 4 earned runs, a 2.35 ERA. He ended up with Baltimore. He actually had pitched for 4 teams last year. He pitched 3 innings in Seattle, 7 and a third for Baltimore, and 15 and a third for the Mets, as well as 6 and a third for Arizona. So he was all over the place. Only ended the season in full with 31 or 32 innings. So I'm fine with this. Again, a scrap heap guy, a guy that might start in AAA, but could bounce up and down. So I like the hire. I like the signing for the Mets with Jose Castillo. I don't like the Mets signing Ji-Hwan Bae, and here's why. First off, he stinks. I mean, his major league numbers have been pretty atrocious so far in his 4 seasons in the big leagues. 2025, just 13 games, he had 1 hit, similar to Jose Siri, 1 hit and 20 at-bats. He had 050. 2024, he had 189, no homers, 6 RBIs. 2023, in a season where he played the most games of his career, 231, 2 homers, 32 RBIs, stole 24 bases. And 2022, just 10 games. He had 333, but just 33 at-bats. So his major league numbers have been pretty terrible. And also, this was a guy that had a domestic violence to his name. And when you're talking about character issues in the team that needs to get good clubhouse pieces. Now, listen, he was 18 years old at the time. People do change, but you know, it's hard to forgive a guy that, you know, hit an ex-girlfriend. He was convicted of assaulting his ex-girlfriend, and that's not a good look. That's not really someone that you want on your team. It was 2017. He served a 30-game suspension in the minor leagues in 2019 for violating that domestic violence policy following the conviction. So combine that with the fact that he sucked, and, you know, I always say on here, don't care too much about these scrap heap pickups. These guys aren't going to be in the big leagues, and if they are, it means there were multiple injuries. But this one that is just one that doesn't really make sense by David Stearns. But I'm not going to lose sleep over it, but I'm also not here like, okay, what the hell, what are you doing here? So don't love them picking up Bae. Fine with Jose, not fine with Bae. The other big news is that what we expected, the Mets have given the qualifying offer to Edwin Diaz. That is $22 million. Now, if he does leave for another team, the Mets will get draft compensation. So it's a no-brainer to give him the qualifying offer, but the reality is he's going to decline that offer and get probably $22 million a year or more for multiple years. We'll see how far the Mets go. You know, if listen, if it's 4 years for 88 and another team offers 4 years for 100, the Mets have to match that. They cannot penny pinch with Edwin Diaz. He is too critical, like I've said, to this team. He is more important to this team than Pete Alonso. And I know a lot of Mets fans hate that because they're reacting with emotions when it comes to Pete Alonso, but the reality is you can find another first baseman. You cannot find anywhere near as good of a closer to Edwin Diaz. So the Mets have to be smart here and pay him. That's the one guy that if he goes, I think it is a massive mistake. And I know a lot of Mets fans are saying, and people on Twitter saying, you can't let, Alonso go. You can let Diaz go. Closer volatile. Completely disagree. I think the closers market this year is not good. And there aren't many dominant closers in this league. Edwin Diaz is one of them. So find a way to get this done. It would be a shock if he accepted it. He's going to get that money for 4 years. Why would he take it for one? So we'll see. Other guys were offered the qualifying offer as well. Kyle Tucker, he'll decline it. Schwarber, he will decline it. Bo Bichette will decline it. Framber Valdez will decline it. I'd assume Dylan Cease declines it. He got one. Ranger Suarez, he's an interesting one. I think $22 million, maybe Ranger Suarez takes it, but I think he had a good enough year he could get a nice contract. Zach Gallen getting the qualifying offer. He's a guy, off the year he had. If I'm Zach Gallen, I may take that $22 million and try to get, multiple years. Shota Imanaga, another guy, probably would take the qualifying offer. That doesn't really make sense why he wouldn't either. I don't think he's going to get that much in free agency. Now, these guys might get less AAV than qualifying offer, but are interested in 3 or 4 years. So we'll see. Michael King, I would think he declines it. Trent Grisham's the intriguing name on the qualifying offer list. I think there's a chance Trent Grisham should take that from the Yankees, the $22 million. I don't know if he would get that in free. He might get 3 years for 45, but if I'm Trent Grisham, I'd consider that. Gleyber Torres, another guy, I'd consider it. He got is Gleyber Torres going to get a massive deal? And Brandon Woodruff, another guy I think should consider it. So definitely some names on that list. Most of the time, guys don't take the qualifying offer, but there are a couple names on this list that should. We'll see who ends up taking it. So Edwin Diaz definitely is not going to take it. All right, a lot of more news will come, I'm sure, in the free agency world, guys. We also forgot to mention Katia Lindor, Francisco Lindor's wife, is going to be performing at Carnegie Hall. I believe it's in January. I forgot the exact date. I don't have it in front of me, but shout out to her for performing at Carnegie Hall. She'll be performing all different kinds of music, violin. I guess there'll be an orchestra, so shout out to her. That actually news came out when we were doing the show with Nelson Figueroa. All right, let's get to your comments from Thursday's show from Mets Daily Insider member Mary L. 1973. Just saw that Pete Fairbanks is available. Thoughts? Yes, Pete Fairbanks opted out of his $11 million option. He's a name that I've brought up. I like Pete Fairbanks. Again, I think the Mets and Rays will do more business together this offseason, like I've mentioned. I think Pete Fairbanks, if he's declining $11 million, he's looking for a big-time deal. And if I'm the Mets, I think the only way you end up with Pete Fairbanks is if Edwin Diaz walks, because you already have an $11 million pitcher in A.J. Minter. Are the Mets going to get another setup man on multi-years that's going to cost as much as Pete Fairbanks? Maybe, but I think they're more focused on paying hitters right now and starting pitching than they are giving that money outside of Edwin Diaz. Now, they could let Diaz go and then get 2 high-leverage arms like a Fairbanks and maybe a Brad Keller, but I don't know. I don't think that should fly. Now, if you get Diaz and Fairbanks, great. But again, that's going to be, $40 million between the two. Are you giving $40 million to 2 relievers when you still need to figure out first base and infield and center field? It just doesn't feel realistic, but I like Pete Fairbanks. From Jay Martinez, I'm okay with Bader if you get another stud offensive outfielder, moving Nimmo to DH, then get Bichette for second. That gives excellent offensive players, and Vader be a little bit of an upgrade. Some of this is not really in English here, Jay Martinez. If we lose Pete, we can get Naylor or Bichette. All right, there's a lot going on here. You're not going to get a stud offensive outfielder and Bo Bichette. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think there's just too many moving parts for that to happen. I like Bo Bichette. I don't think you're going to get all these guys. You're not getting Bader and a stud offense. It's not happening. Bader wants multiple years for 12 to 15 million a year. You're just not going to have that happen. So I don't think Bader is any remote possibility, nor should he be a possibility. If you're getting a stud offensive outfielder, you're not getting Bader. It's one of the two. It's either you're getting stud or you're going with a lesser level player than Bader, or you're going with Carson Bench internally. So I don't think that's going to happen. Theo Isaac, let's go Mets. Sakamoto, give Bo Bichette whatever he wants. He's a younger, smarter, more productive McNeil, and he's way, way more handsome. Yeah, I mean, listen, he's definitely more handsome. He's definitely more productive, and he's definitely younger. I'm curious what it's going to be. You're not going to give him $350 million, but if you said to me, Bo Bichette is 7 years, $180 million, I would do it. You're not going to do 7 years for $250 million for Bo Bichette. You're not going to give him $35 million a year. But Bo Bichette, $25 million a year, 7+ years, I think you would consider it because he's right in the prime of his career. From Dice Club, I'd absolutely be offering Bo Bichette whatever he wants. Come join the Mets for the next 7 years. Yeah, again, I don't think you do whatever. Again, you're not writing Bo Bichette a blank check, but he's a good player and definitely an upgrade from McNeil. Bichelle couldn't run the bases well. He was hurt. He was playing on one leg in the World Series, so I wouldn't look at what he did in the World Series. I take that with a grain of salt. He was not 100%. He came back because it was the World Series. From Arcade Perfect Reviews, they could have just given him a big signing bonus. You don't need a pension when you have $5 million in the bank. Yeah, but you're not going to give a massive signing bonus to a first base coach. We can't treat Antoine Richardson like he's Juan Soto. One's a first base coach, one's a player. From Fernando Sandoval, Mets pitchers were down before, walks way too high. Yes, that has to change. From Ethan K, Lowell, Mets again, all could have been Boyd. The prioritized coach who actually did his job and provided a positive. Turns out Boyd genius, forgot how many pensions he can dish out. I don't think that was why. They just thought he was gone. When he came back in the end, it was already too late. I think at this point, guys, we did our Antoine Richardson. It's time to move on from it. It sucks. Obviously, these comments are from that video, so I understand. But next week, I think we just move past Antoine Richardson, Jeremy Hefner. It sucks. I hate they're going to the Braves, but we got to focus on free agency now. From Chris Hutchins, well, he's not going to go to the Mets. Bo, the reason is, I'll give you a reason why. I have good authority from a family friend that Bo wants his preference to be closer to home to his family, and he has already made it known that if the Braves offer him a contract, he will sign with the Braves. He likes Edit. I don't know what that says. He knows the team. He knows the facilities. It's closer to his home. As long as the prices are willing to offer, he's a conscious suspect where he's going to sign as a plan to be shortside the Braves next year. All right. I have no idea who you are, so I don't know if you know that, but I could see that being true. Guys want to play close to home. Will the Braves offer it? We'll see. Listen, I think the Braves could very much use either shortstop or second baseman, especially if they want to move. I mean, they have Ozzie Albies. They have Allen, who's good defensively. Do they make Bichette their DH? Do they move on from Ozuna? We'll see. But I don't disagree with you. I don't know if you actually a family friend. I don't think you would comment in this video if that was otherwise, but you just don't know who knows who. From Fernando Salver, Jeremy Hefner was no good. Let them have him. I disagree. I think Jeremy Hefner was a good coach. I think he did good things for this organization. Look what David Peterson did. Look what Mania did last year. Just some tough luck this year. But, yeah, I mean, I think you had to move on from him just because the pitching was a big problem. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk more free agency. I'm sure we'll have more news next week. Smash that thumbs up. Follow your boy at Jake Brown Live. Subscribe to my YouTube now. We're almost at 400 subscribers. Not many, but I'm trying to post shorts there every day and trying to get content on my YouTube every day. So hit that subscribe button on mine. Hit that subscribe button here. Become a Mets Daily Insider. Support the channel. Scan that code, just $5 a month. And we'll talk to you on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.